Hi, I'm KS Garner, and you're listening to the Solo Nerd Podcast. Today, I'll be speaking with rapper and media entrepreneur Carl Keels, aka Mr. Freeze, to discuss his latest music and upcoming projects. Welcome, Carl.
Hey, how are you? Thanks for
Uh,
having me on. It's a pleasure.
well, thanks for joining us today. Thanks for reaching out.
Absolutely.
Outside my introduction, who is Carl Keels, aka Mr. Freeze, in his own words?
And honestly, a living legend. um, and I can say that confidently, just based on the things I've been through as a person, my journey to being a man, my journey to reaching my goals, and just the level of confidence I personally have. I literally can call myself a living legend. And then a couple of my friends call me that, so I feel a little more secure in that. So, yeah.
Well, what makes you a living legend? Can you, I guess,
Yeah,
describe
yeah,
it
yeah.
to the listeners?
Sure. I think what's unique about me is that I took a road into hip hop media, especially black media, black music. Um, and I'm born in '92, so I'm kind of from the era where a lot of parents and some of your peers frown on it. Like it's kind of ironic because they enjoy the music and as it's already out, but when you're on the journey, they kind of really don't respect it. I think that what made me unique was I wasn't just focused on making the best song or trying to be the best persona. At first, I really did a lot of research. So I was 16 years old in high school, and sometimes I'd be home and I'd be on the internet all day just scouring for like finding out what different things meant. So I would buy a booklet to an album, and I would look up what's ASCAP or what's BMI or what's the RIAA or what does these terms mean, like going platinum or things like that. And that was around the time YouTube came to like prominence, oh 07, oh 08. So I was just really just scouring for information and learning um, learning every single facet and timeline of the culture I wanted to be into, outside of just the average VH1 behind the music or MTV segments. You know, I really wanted to do a lot of the underground work and kind of just understand the what made this culture so brilliant. So the reason why that plays into me being a legend is that later on, when I started to put myself out there more and wanted to do more as far as music, I had a lot of knowledge offhand and I understood a lot of the blueprint. So I immediately stood out amongst a lot of my peers because um, a lot of it seems that they only knew enough to be a fan as well. Like even though you're creating the content, they kind of still look at it from a fan point of view. And me, I understood the business and understood the different levels of administration. And you know, when you see a lot of artists publicly going bad or talking down about their labels and owning their masters, I kind of understood what that was along the years. So it kind of it set me apart. And just some of the moves I've made as far as just in media in Baltimore City and just different things and just being able to keep my integrity and to not compromise or to not be somebody that I'm not and somebody that I can be proud of. And I think that that's what makes me a living legend.
Mm-hmm. So, from I guess the information that you sent me that I read about you, it sounded like you were interested in music in the beginning, like I guess as a teenager, obviously as you said, and then you kind of got more into the business part of it for a really long time, music media,
Yeah.
the radio shows that you had, and
Mhm.
then now you're kind of coming full circle back into music.
Yeah.
So how was it being on the business side of it, like for majority of of your career, and then
Yeah.
now you're on the artist side of it?
What was dope was around 2011 when I kind of made the commitment to do it as far as music. Two of my friends, Otis Glenn and Akil Williams, we kind of had the idea to start like a record label and things of that nature. So I kind of already came in with like the co-CEO frame of mind, and we kind of started a label called Shine Music Group. And then one of our guys, Stan Christian Smutty or Chink Jones, that's still my guy to this day. He became a part of it, and we just was building for about 4 or 5 years straight, having events at Akil's dad's club, just doing different things, creating a base at Stevenson University. So I always was looked at as, though I'm an artist, I'm one of the top dogs, so to speak. So I always had that frame of mind of, hey, like we're operating an organization. I'm not just an artist under a number, you know. So that was dope. And then I think 2015 came, and a lot of transitions happened for the three of us. So I ended up taking taking a spot on the internet radio show. Thanks to my guy Sincere, he actually linked me to it. And I started to do media, and then I kind of made my way into the heart of the art scene and the media scene in Baltimore. And then honestly, I'm getting into the underground music scene because when I was starting off with the Shine Music Group with Akil and Chink Jones, we were just making music and catering to schools and catering who wanted to hear us. We didn't necessarily get amongst our peers or kind of see who the competition was. And I think when I got into media and when I started making a name in that realm, I learned who was the competition, who was the best in the underground, who kind of had certain statues outside of who was already on the radio and stuff like that, you know. So and I think it was it was the best timing for me because 2014ish, 2015ish is when a new wave of Baltimore music came. And so I was seeing just the tail end of it, not the tail end, I'm sorry. I was seeing it as it was, as the wave was coming, and just noticing how things played out. And it's really dope. Like, I'm really, really excited and happy for where Baltimore hip hop, Baltimore media, and the culture is going.
Yeah, it's weird because I'm just getting into media and you're kind of like coming out of it. But I have seen how like the Baltimore media art scene is kind of being propelled in a way more now than it has probably back even when I was in college, maybe even in high school.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
Yeah. So what about music? What is it about music that makes you feel so passionate about it?
Man, you know, when I was young, my mom, you know, those Saturdays we used to clean up and stuff. Not necessarily her cleaning up and playing music, but she used to take me everywhere. I'm her only child, so we run a lot of errands. It's 6-7 hours all day, and she have on you know, the FM terrestrial radio with like the old school classics, or she didn't let me listen to rap a lot back then, but if it was like a popular rap song, we'll listen to it. And then my uncle, he would kind of like my uncle taught me just the blueprint of being like a fan or stan of music, and he was a big Quincy Jones fan, and he just used to tell me different things about music, and he always showed me his collection, and you know, he probably to this day he probably has the best music collection I've seen personally, because he just had rows and decades of different jazz CDs, R&B CDs, and things of that nature. And I was with him when I bought my first ever CD. The first CD I bought was a Like Mike soundtrack, the Bow Wow movie. And I think it was at Soundgarden. I really do. So I bought that for $9.99, and then just my love for music just took off from there. And I don't think they understood it. I was always intelligent, always score high on tests, always had good grades. But everyone always assumed I'd be like a lawyer or one of those things. But I really love music, and one of the things that programmed me to say this is what I'm going to do was the rise of 50 Cent in like late 2002, 2003. You know, me and him have the same birthday with Kansas, but also just being young and paying attention to like BET, MTV, and VH1. I never seen a campaign or never seen a media or press run that big as a young kid. So that pulled me in, and I literally just knew how everyone around me had 50 Cent CD. Everyone had it. And you know, that kind of pulled me into like really wanting to get into the rap game. This is the early 2000s, 2002, 2003. So music's always been my life, and when it comes to just digesting music, I always look for that one song that just touches me somewhere emotionally. You know, I listen to a range of music outside of just rap. You know, I could listen to Sade or then turn on Anita Baker or turn on some Patty Austin. You know, it's just about finding that song that makes me feel emotionally charged. And then once I started to make music, I started to look for that in my music. So I slowly was getting there. And I think last year I really hit that stride as far as making music that I personally love on the same level as some of the people I just mentioned.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny how you mentioned, well, not funny, but I guess it is funny in a way how you mentioned that you've always scored high on tests. You know, everyone always recognized your intelligence, but they never saw the correlation between how you, I guess, process music and listen to music and your intelligence at the same time. Because I guess how you process music, like making the music, even writing music, recognizing notes and things of that sort, is another form of intelligence, which a lot of people don't really see that. Like I'm still struggling to play my guitar. I've had that thing for 15 years, and my brother can make beats like it's nothing. It's, so yeah, it's just another form of intelligence a lot of people don't really recognize.
Absolutely.
In your part, in your life, on your part, people did recognize your intelligence, but they never really saw. Again, they never saw the correlation between the two.
Yeah.
They just kind of probably saw it as like a hobby or something you were interested in. Because like, who doesn't like, And it's funny how you mentioned 50 Cent because I also remember like the whole campaign of promoting him and G Unit and Shady Records and Aftermath. Like I still have my G Unit tank top from when I was
oh my goodness.
I still have mine. You remember when we had the belts with the with the names on it?
Light up. Oh my goodness. You know what's funny? I'm sitting out front of Savers, and I was here like 6 months ago to get some clothes for an event we were having, and I saw this green vest. The vest looked great. It looked like those vests Drewski be wearing. And it was a G Unit vest, and I bought it, and I wear it like I wore it this weekend, like. And people were like, "Yo, Freeze, I love your vest," so I'm like, it's G Unit, right? And they were like, "Oh, like, wow, like, so." And as a person, people always tell me like I act like my style is like 2000s, like someone say, "Oh, he got 90s style," like they're like, "Yo, your style is 2000s, like that's your style." So that's always just been part of my approach anyway, because I love the era I grew up in, from like 98 to 2009, 2010. That's my era. That's me. I can tell you everything about that. That's who I am,
Yeah, that style. I mean, the style's pretty much coming back anyway. The early 2000s.
Right. They're trying. Yeah, they're trying. It's not the same.
It's not the same. It's not the same. Yeah. I hope they don't bring low rise. Please don't bring that back. Please don't bring that.
You know what? They can't, because it's so many. And there's no disrespect to no woman's preference, but it's so many surgeries and stuff out here. I don't even think low riders will even make it.
Yeah, they probably can't with the BBLs and stuff. It's not gonna work.
Nobody's trying to look like Jessica Simpson anymore.
All right. Well, can you elaborate more on your creative process? So, like, what is it? I guess how do you write your songs or produce, beats or whatever? So how does it start? Does it normally start with like a hook? Does it start with a beat? Does it start with maybe like something you remember from, whatever incident that happened before, or are you more like a narrative type of rapper, or like how do you do
my style as far as writing, even if I'm not telling an exact story, my style definitely has a story to it, so you can follow it and repeat it as far as the repetition. But when it comes to the actual creative process, it's evolutionized over the years a little bit, but it's always been the common thing. If I hear production, or if I hear a beat that pulls in my heartstrings, like the music I came up on, I immediately want to write to it. I immediately need to. I have this reaction that's kind of like, I can't describe it. It's just like I feel it in my nerves, and I start kind of rocking back and forth. And I'm like, no. I need this. And my producer friends know, if they play me something, then I get in that freeze mode. I'm like, oh, what's this? And sometimes I start cursing out loud. I kind of become like boisterous as far as just the creative juices, And I immediately either start writing, or sometimes I'll just think of something, and I literally it'll probably be taking about 1 or 2 days to write everything, and then 3 or 4 days to probably perfect me actually performing it as far as rapping it. So by the time I get to the studio, you can really ask anyone that's ever recorded me in the last 6-7 years. I don't take long in the studio. I'm not necessarily I don't have a lot of takes. The only way I really have a lot of takes or trying to land something is if I'm trying to perfect every line. And I do that more recently now because I'm way more intentional. But I always practice before I go to the studio, because to me, that's like the big game. That's like, okay, I got a new move. I got to practice this new move. And then when I go to the game, I got to score 40 so I can be on ESPN. That's kind of how I always looked at how I need to create my music, because I'm very competitive. And I'm not one of the guys that grew up that was always competitive in sports. But I was competitive in making music, competitive in being the best, and competitive in knowing what I know. So, yeah, that's kind of my process.
Mm-hmm. So what advice could you offer to other artists or anyone who wants to get into media, like myself? Because, you know, any advice can help me, that you
Absolutely.
wish that someone would have told you when you first started.
Um, so as far as the advice, that's kind of two-part question. The
Yeah.
advice I would give is learn and study the network that of the music you love. So if you want to make R&B, or if you want to make soul music, study everything that has to do with the history of the soul, and not just the great artists. Study the business people, study the people behind the scenes, the history of record labels, and what those record labels did at certain times. Because there are record labels that are popular now that used to send representatives to the South to find, and this is like post-slavery, send them to find different recorded like slave hymns and stuff, and they were copyrighted. But a lot of people don't know this, and those kind of things, and you just study what the business of music is, because it surges a confidence in you. It shouldn't make you insecure, especially if you love music. It should surge a confidence in you that makes you say, okay, I know I'm great enough. So me knowing the history and knowing how everything here operates, I know how I can be a great vessel in this. And it has to become like your best friend. It has to become just your love and your passion for the sport. And this is for media as well. It has to be your best friend. You have to know who's who, know what's going on, but you don't have to be so connected that you lose all the senses of reality, because that happened to me. And I want to divvy off to that story yet, but just set a time for it. Set 3-4 hours out of the day where you checking what's going on, seeing what's just going on in the culture. We got social media, so it makes it a lot easier. Going on YouTube, especially. YouTube has a lot of content, a lot of informal videos about just the history of different things, how labels and how business people work, and things you need to know. So it is a lot easier now for it was for me back then, because the blueprint in Baltimore was different, because this is not a city like New York, Houston, LA, and things of that nature. So you just kind of had to learn as you went. And I was always fortunate. I kind of always got introduced to certain people who were already kind of either established in that craft, or just had a lot of information from, guys like Reggie Reg, rest in peace to Reggie Reg. He told me stories about Biggie and Jay-Z being in Maryland, and just how Biggie was as a person, and just those DJs, man. Shout out to DJ Dookie, man. Just a lot of people, and shout out to Smoot, RIP Smoot. He used to give me a lot of information as far as what I need to do, how I need to sound, and I just always took that information and ran with it. And then when I learned that and mastered that, I would pass it down to whoever came to me for advice. So definitely learn the game. And the second part, I think, if I don't lose what you said, it's definitely just understanding that none of this is personal, and don't pay attention to the biggest acts, the biggest songs, because that's fine. It's nothing like Drake level is Drake level, Michael Jackson level is that level. But there's a lot of, it gets more fragile. You know what I mean? So people think that any one of us can get that success. It kind of, but it's a very fragile process. So sometimes you do have to compromise a lot of integrity, because of the business and the politics of being the top person. But being the top person and being a person that's just starting, there's so much in the middle. And there's so many ways, if you want to monetize, or if you want to be an artist that's, I want my music just to be in movies or just be in certain places. There's so many ways for your music or your content to land. And you have to look at it like a bottle of soda. Once you put a barcode on it and it goes for retail, you can do anything with it. You have to see it that way.
Mm-hmm. So throughout this whole process, throughout your whole career, did you, or maybe do you ever get overwhelmed? Like, does it ever become too much? And how do you typically manage your mental well-being when it does?
I became overwhelmed. I started to become overwhelmed the more I got in tune with my peers in this local network, local industry, whatever, right? Working on projects, going to events, the politics of it, who's who, and just being honest, being under people. There's nothing wrong with being under someone who has their own brand, but there's been plenty of times where I've known as much or known more than the person I'm under. But the 48 laws of power teaches you never to outshine the master. So I always play my position, but it gets overwhelming because you know I'm learning new things, I'm learning new approaches, and mind you, because of the internet, everything updates at least every 3 to 6 months, right? So even when it comes to the technology of music, we're not selling CDs anymore, we're on streaming world. So you still have to learn and keep up with that, and it takes a toll, but it's not as bad if you really want it. It's not as bad as like this is all who you are. It's just your whole being. But ways I've dealt with it, definitely taking like a couple hours break, doing something else. Sometimes elevating my mind, but for the most part, it's really just about taking a break and relaxing your muscles, so to speak. Just it's kind of like exercising or kind of like a sport. You do too much of it, it'll take a strain on your body and your mental health. And it's especially different because with this music, with media, we're all trying to hit this spot. We're all trying to get this next thing that validates us, and validates what we're doing. That's probably the most stressful part because I may put my all into this song. I may think it's so dope, and I play it for like 5 people, and like they're like, I don't know, I don't see the vision. You can become defensive. You become overprotective of your art. So that's a thing in itself. And one of the unfortunate things about selling music and doing media is that you kind of have to care what people think.
Mm-hmm.
And that takes a toll on you. So definitely taking mental breaks, relaxing, and having extracurricular activities outside of this is so beautiful. Hiking, reading, whatever, like, whether it's even blogging about other stuff, just doing other things bring you away from the music. And then it feels more like a comfortable job rather than this mandated 500-pound monkey on your back.
Mm-hmm. So my last question for you, Carl, is what is your idea of success? I ask that because as creators, if we're not getting regular paychecks from a full-time job or making consistent revenue from our art, whatever it may be, we're considered failures, or we consider ourselves failures. Many of us will put our dreams and projects on the back burner or give them up altogether because this career path can be highly intimidating and competitive. So what is your idea of quote unquote success?
Me personally, success is the messaging and the purpose of my music touching someone where that's the first thing where they're like, yo, I know what you mean. I felt that. I felt that first taste of it last year. I wrote this song and put it out. It's called Palo Santos, based on just like the sage and stuff like that. And shout out to my guy Becca, he made the beat. Trance shot the video.
Just like the first song I like put out and tested that I saw people liked and connected with was the Palo Santos song. It was just one of those nights. It was me, Becca, my guy that made the beat, and a friend of mine, Jasmine. We were just in the studio just talking, and Becca just was making that beat, and I was like, man, that's a tough beat. And he left me there to record, and me and Jasmine just in there talking, and she had said, man, like, whatever you do to this, you got to just come with it. You got to just, she kind of put a battery in my back. She said, you got to just come with it. And she said, do you mind if I burn some Palo Santo? I'm like, what is that? So she showed me what it was, and I Googled it, and I was like, man, like, this makes exact sense. So I just wrote the record and I recorded a demo, and then I re-recorded it the next day because I knew I needed to kind of like approach my tones and stuff. So yeah, like once I started letting people hear it and I put it out there, it started to slowly grow. And I kind of got that boost of confidence, like, man, like I did it. Like I captured people organically, because a lot of my grind has been just sending people links and trying to invite people out and stuff like that. And I always got retention or like 20 to 30% participation. So I just kept grinding and kept going. And for me to create a product that organically really, really hit as far as his music, it's like a dream come true, honestly. So that was my first taste of success personally. And then like a couple months after that, a friend of mine, Tracksmith, he makes R&B music. He produced beats. He has a relationship with designer, that made Panda, that used to be signed to Kanye West. And I ended up writing a song that became the chorus of their record, and designer got on it and all that, and it's out. But I was already writing songs with him and getting in that songwriting lane and understanding R&B. And it was just one of those organic nights where he was just going through beats, and I heard that beat. Nothing was on. I just heard the beat, and I said, "Yo, cue that up. That's it." And I wrote what I wrote. I referenced it, and it was just me, him, and his cousin DJ in the room, and they just lit up. Like, I thought it would be dope. I thought it would just, something cool that he might get on or use, or we can shop it. But I saw the response that they was just dancing, and they was just like, "Yo, this it." And by the end of that week, because that was like a Monday, by the end of that week, Designer was on the record. And around this time, like June 16th or something, when Track's birthday, they put the record out. And it's almost going to been a year since that's been out. So those two are like my first two instances of success. And what makes it dope and more grateful is that they happen within 3 months of each other.
Oh wow!
So it's just like life is amazing, and it's different now when I update people what's going on, or when I see people and I kind of run down what's been going on, and they look at me different, because a lot of people sometimes they tap in, or sometimes they don't. Sometimes they say, "Oh yeah, I see you, and I see you doing your thing," but when I really give them the details of like what I've done and where that places my value at, the conversation is different. The respect raises, and that means a lot. It does means a lot, because I went through so many years of just like, people, okay, or side, or yeah, you can do better, or just like, me not being their favorite or stuff like that, But now it's different to where guys call me, or people call people I know, like, "Yo, I love that song Freeze made," or "Yo, Freeze next," and just those kind of compliments, and them knowing who I am and knowing my motivation and my determination to be consistent and not stop. It pushes me to almost the front of their mind of who they want to contend to be the next up, or to be the next staple for the city, and or as far as representation, and that means a lot. I don't use it as pressure. I just know I got to keep delivering every single time, So, yeah, it's a good place to be,
Yeah, I can definitely relate on I guess people, congratulating you when they see a finished product of something. And how can I put this? There's people always watching, right? There's always somebody watching, even if they don't engage with you. Mm-hmm. They don't say a single word to you or even like any of your stuff, but they always watching, right? Mm-hmm. And then you just have to, like you said, you just have to keep going again, because somebody's always watching, and you never know who that person is that's watching, who they're connected to that's watching. Mm-hmm. So it was like, just to hear you say that your two, most successful, or your first two tastes of success happened within 3 months of each other. And it's weird how life works, because it's probably not something you were expecting. I mean, even maybe in your wildest dreams you thought it would, but then for it to actually happen,
it's amazing.
It was amazing, right? So then it's like, what if this is what I can do? It was like 10 years of buildup. First of all, it wasn't like overnight success is really like 10 years of work.
Yeah.
But you put in that work, which a lot of people don't see. They don't see that part either. The grind, the hustle, whatever it may be, long nights.
Yeah.
You losing a bunch of days. The days kind of meld together, whatever it may be. They just see the finished product, like I said before. But it's like, what you can achieve in 3 months is like, what can I achieve? It's like 6 months left in a year now. So like, where do you see yourself? Not even 5 years or 10 years from now, but like 5 months or even 10 months from now.
I see myself. Just putting out more content, because this is my last. I'm gonna wrap it up because the battery acting crazy. But in the next 5 months, I definitely see myself just putting out content in a higher level of competitive manner. I think I didn't get a lot of accolades and flowers last year because I didn't put out enough consistent content. I put out like a body of work, like a mixtape that was for retail, and then once I kind of made the move writing the song with designing them, I kind of just played back and then just kind of like let life just play out. And I was recording more music, but eventually I started doing more writing, and I actually got my certification to do social media. So I just was knowing that, okay, if I'm going to do this music thing, let me have some revenues around that, But this time, because I'm kind of steady financially, I'm in a better situation I was last year. I'm definitely at a point where it's like, listen, I'm definitely it's time to compete. It's just time to compete, and I feel confident about that, you know. So yeah, definitely. But yeah, you know, it's just definitely 2022 and beyond. I'm working on some comic book stuff. Your guy James that was that you interviewed before me, I actually reached out to him. Me and him talked earlier about hopefully getting together and doing some stuff. So I definitely want to, you know, shout you out just for having the content, you know, for me to, you know, network with him. So much love. Yeah, and just hopefully we can do something in person, because I definitely want to apologize for my phone. It's the heat and all that stuff, but this definitely was a fruitful conversation. I'm glad I can give insight to my story and be able to help artists, help media, and anything you need. You already know we built that relationship. Anything you need, events, anything, you know, we can talk and I'll show you anything. It's not even about money, none of that. Just for whatever, you know, who's who, events, whatever. I got you.
Yeah, I think I appreciate it, and you're welcome with the connection as well. But like with your battery, I don't want to hold you up too much longer. But I just want to say again to rapper and media entrepreneur Carl Keels, aka Mr. Freeze, for joining us here today for to discuss his latest music and upcoming projects. I highly recommend our listeners to check out Mr. Freeze's music. All of his socials and video links will be listed in this episode's details for those who are interested. Again, I am KS Garner, and you have been listening to the Solo Nerdbird Podcast. Thank you.
Hey.